Sure. I have been doing SEO since 1996. I blog at a website called SEO by the Sea, and I work for a company called Go Fish Digital, where I'm the director of SEO research, which means I get to come up with lots of ideas for people I work with to try on experiment sites, on client sites. I help develop strategies for clients, often based upon things I've researched, and sometimes point them towards patents that search engines have written with takeaways I've come up with that may be appropriate for their site. Which is interesting. It's interesting to see how well they take those and to watch them have success with them. What I talked about was structured data and setting up, and some of the new things in structured data, such as a recent release of Schema 3.5, which includes things like speakable markup or fact page schema, which allows you to mark up a page where you have questions and answers on that page. It's possible that Google may start responding positively to when you have structured data on your pages in addition to textual answers. They may see that as a place where they can get better answers for featured snippets. So I talked about related questions, about other aspects of how featured snippets work, and the history of structured data at Google. How there was a project before the Knowledge Graph called the Annotation Framework. So Google's been at work on adding a semantic layer to search and focusing upon providing results about entities more than just matching keywords and queries to keywords and pages. Okay, so when I look at a patent, sometimes I try to analyze how much it's likely that the patent is correct or not. One of the ways I do this is some patents are known as continuation patents, which means the assignee, the person who wrote the patent, the company that wrote it, has resubmitted it, refiled it, and they use the original date of the first filing, but they rewrite the claims on the patent, which is what the patent examiners use when they decide whether or not to grant a patent. If they rewrite the claims and they change around the processes described, that may mean that they're adding things that reflect what they're actually using in present day. And if they've done that 3 or 4 times, which they've done with this patent I wrote about, it was originally filed in 2003. So if 16 years later they're refiling it with new information, new approaches, in my opinion, it's more likely than not that they're using it. And when they talk about looking at click-throughs to determine whether or not to rank a page, and they provide a lot of detail on how they might alleviate some of the noise that Google spokespeople talk about when they say we don't use click-through rate because it's too noisy data. If the patent describes ways that they might avoid some of that noise, one of them is they're very careful in tracking how people interact with search results, and they build user-based models of behavior. They look at when people click on results and what they do after they click. So if you, as an SEO, hire a bunch of people from Fiverr and get them to do a search and then click on something, and then they sign off, they disappear. And everybody who does that search signs off and disappears. It's a sign that maybe that those aren't typical users. So, like I said, this patent has lots of examples of that, where they try to understand whether or not those are real people doing those clicks. What they're looking for. They also do classifications of queries. So if somebody is searching for something simple like a president's birthday, what is George Washington's birthday? If they only spend 30 seconds on a page, chances are they found what they were looking for and they've left the page. And that's a good thing. The patent introduced the concept that's been referred to in other places. There's a book about Google by a writer for Wired magazine named Stephen Levy, who wrote In the Plex, which talks about the early days of Google and says that one of the metrics that they use that they like a lot is what they call a long click. So if somebody visits a page and they spend a lot of time there, that means that they're engaged somehow with that page in a positive way, which is a much better sign than if they visit a page, spend a few seconds, and leave. Okay? So, like I said, I like this patent because it indicated a number of ways that made it look like people were engaged with pages, that they were enjoying them, that they were learning something, and they were using them. And that meant those clicks had value. And I like the message that sends to SEOs. They're not trying to send messages to SEOs with patents. They're not marketing materials. They're legal protections. But in this case, it's saying create content that engages your visitors, that keeps them on the page, that makes them want to read further. Have images that entertain people, that inform them. Answer questions. Keep them on a page for a while. If they leave a page, return to search results, and search for a completely different topic, that's also an indication that people found what they were looking for, and they're satisfied with your page. That's probably the toughest question. So I learned a lot from my parents. I consider them my mentors. My father, I remember a business call he got when I was 13, where a potential client asked him if the machinery he was building and selling would create the products that they were manufacturing. And he said, no. You want to talk to one of my competitors. Here's the phone number. So they called him, asked his opinion on almost everything after that, because they trusted him. So let people trust you. Yeah.